What do you want from your relationship? That's the question that we're answering today and talking about. So if you've ever asked yourself that and not known what the answer is, or how you would even know, or like not sure about how to figure that out, that's what this video is about, and that's what we're talking about today. So, what do you want from your relationship? And when I'm talking about relationship, I am talking about the relationship that you and your spouse have together, right? Your marriage. But you can apply this to, if you're not married yet, you can apply this to the relationship you have with your significant other, your boyfriend, your fiance, whatever it may be, whichever one applies in your case. So here's the thing that we need to talk about first. Let me guess. When you look around, it seems like everyone's got it figured out, right? Like from what you can tell anyway. Nobody seems to be losing any sleep over their relationship currently, right? Wrong. Don't let them fool you. If I must, I will be the one to pop your bubble to say, don't judge a book by its cover. How do I know? Because they come and sit on this couch. And also because, number one, just because they look like they know what they're doing doesn't mean that they actually do. Number two, just because they make it seem like they're getting all they want, right? All they want to get out of their relationship doesn't mean that they do. And last but not least, just because, right, at one point in their life, at one point in their marriage, they thought they knew what they were doing, or they were getting what they needed to get out of the relationship that they were in, most definitely does not mean that that's the case right now, right? But then you come back to me and you say, how do people figure it out, right? Like, how do people do it and I can't seem to? And here's what I want to suggest to you. It may be time that you stop asking yourself that question, like once and for all. And I will help you figure out the answer to the actual question, but not the they can figure it out and why can't I? We're going to figure this out right here, right now. Because guess what? Who's to decide what you want from your relationship? Who's to make that decision? You got it. You, right? Like nobody else but you. And the answer, regardless of what you may have heard or what you've been told elsewhere, like it matters a great deal. So how do you know what you want in your relationship? This is where I like to start. Sometimes it's easiest to look around you, right? Look in the past, both yours and other people's that you just know or both know and admire, and start by simply writing a list. A list of what, Danka? You say. A list of things, right? Both good and bad, semi-good, semi-bad, that you have seen happen, that you knew were going to have to make the cut, or other things that needed to stay as far away as possible from what you were going to create. You are going to have to sit down, like the old-fashioned way, turn everything off, or maybe put some music on if that helps you be at peace and concentrate. That's okay. But think about it for a moment or two, right? Or like spend a whole Saturday afternoon maybe even processing this. Like if you've never truly thought about this or done this, it might take that long. Think about it. You're going to have to take some time to evaluate what you learned in life, right? And then start jotting things down, extrapolate from that. Here's the yeses, here's the nos. Because there's nobody else that can provide They can provide you with that list as it applies to you again, right? Not anybody else, as it applies to you. They will have their own list. But as far as it applies to you, there's nobody else that can do this for you. I don't know how you like to write. Maybe you divide your page in two and do the good old-fashioned like pros and cons, right? I find that like the easiest place to start with a lot of things, and including as I'm looking around, right, when I was looking for a new space for my office, like, is to start with the list of things that you know you don't want, right? For me, and this is now, I don't even know, 8-10 years ago, but it was really easy. One, I didn't want an office that had no windows. Two, I didn't want an office with a shared waiting room. I had that experience and I didn't appreciate it. Three, I didn't want an office where I wouldn't have the ability to replace certain pieces of furniture or like update the space in some way as I deemed, professional and necessary and just overall awesome looking, right? Like to my taste. And that's just the start. That was just a couple of the things that I had on my mind, and I could go on, but you get the point. So now you take a turn, right? Go ahead and start with that. What do you not want in your relationship, in your marriage? What do you not want with that person that you walk down the aisle with? What are those things for you? The things that you don't want in a relationship, the things that you have that you have to put your foot down about, so to speak, right? What are those? List them all out. The ones you cannot tolerate, right? No matter how hard you try. The things that maybe initially you thought you could totally take on, but experience has taught you otherwise and says, no, that actually won't work for me, right? Sometimes we figure out what we want best by realizing what that is, right? Like what it is that we do not want. You already know what your first 2 or 3 were, don't you? Write them down and then just keep writing until you have nothing else to say. If you hit a wall, put it down maybe for a few minutes or whatever. Come back to it later in the day or come back to it in a day or two, right? That's okay. What did you particularly like about the way that your parents treated one another? Maybe it was a favorite uncle, right? Or a grandparent, and the way that he or she talked to their spouse, right? Growing up in your family or now into, right, your adulthood, what was particularly difficult to watch? What was it about your last relationship, right, that kind of blew up in both of your faces? What was it that you ended up putting down as your must-haves, even though it perhaps like surprised you with them? Once you have that part figured out, turn the page over and see what, right, see what that means about what you actually want in your relationship. We don't want this, so what do we want instead, right? And then write those things down. The secret is this: once you know that, once you know exactly where, right, like what those things are, you know exactly where and how to look for that, and you can do so shamelessly, right? Like, let me tell you one other thing: there's nobody walking the planet Earth, no one, that can figure this out for you. Maybe I said that already. You are the one and the only person who has to figure this out on their own. The success of your marriage right now, or if you are not married yet, your future marriage relationship with whomever you decide to make that happen with, depends on this. So if I had anything to say about it, I would say get to work, if that's something that you're interested in, obviously. Because who you spend the rest of your life with matters greatly, and how you do will too. Once you complete this and you look at what you came up with and you find yourself like almost second guessing your answers, right? Something pops up and you're like, I want this much. Like, that's a really long list. Is that even reasonable, right? Like, is it possible that I want too much from my marriage or from my relationship? If that's where you end up sitting, I have another video where I address exactly that. And the question of, do I want too much from my relationship, from my marriage? I'll post it here if that sounds like something that you'd want to get your hands on. I'll see you in there.